Have you ever just stopped and wondered what's really going on when you load a website? It feels instant, almost like magic. But behind every single button, every image, every login screen, there's this carefully built world of technologies all working together. Today, we're going to pull back that curtain and demystify how modern websites are actually built, step by step.
Okay, to get our heads around this, let's start with a really simple but honestly, a super powerful analogy. Think of a website as a house. The basic structure, the walls, the floors, the layout, that's your HTML. Then you've got the style, the paint color, the furniture, all the decor that makes it look good, that's CSS. And finally, the functionality, the electricity, the plumbing, what actually happens when you flip a switch, well, that's JavaScript. Just keep this house in mind as we go through everything.
So here's our blueprint for today. First, we'll look at the basic anatomy of a website. Then we're going to build our house piece by piece, starting with the structure using HTML, then adding all the style with CSS, making it all work with JavaScript, and finally, we'll take a peek into the engine room that powers the whole thing, the backend. All right, let's start with the big picture. Pretty much every website or app you use is split into two main parts. There's the part you can see and interact with, and then there's the part that does all the heavy lifting behind the scenes. We call these the front end and the back end.
So the front end is everything you actually see and touch. The buttons, the text, the images. It's the part of the house you live in, and it all runs right there on your own computer or your phone. The back end, though, that's the hidden stuff. It runs on a powerful computer somewhere else, called a server, and it's what handles all the complicated logic and data that makes the front end possible in the first place.
So when you hear people throwing around the term full stack, it's not as complicated as it sounds. It just means building the entire house, from the pretty front end that everyone sees, all the way to the powerful back-end machinery that makes it all tick. All right, with that big picture in our minds, it's time to start building our house from the ground up. And the very first step is always laying the foundation and putting up the walls. For a website, that means giving it structure, and for that we use something called HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Now, it's not really a programming language in the way most people think of one. It's a markup language. Its only job is to describe the content on a page, to tell the web browser, hey, this chunk of text is a heading, or this is a paragraph, or this right here is an image. It's literally the skeleton of our website.
So HTML works by wrapping your content in these little descriptive things called tags. For example, see that H1 tag? That just tells the browser this is the most important heading on the page. And the P tag just says this is a regular old paragraph. On its own, as you can see, it's just the raw structure. There's no style, just the bare bones information.
And the way it's written is incredibly simple. A complete HTML element usually has three parts. You've got an opening tag, like H1, then the actual content you want to show, and then a closing tag, which is the exact same, but with a little /. You just wrap your content in these tags to tell the browser what it is. That's it.
Okay, so we've got our structure. Our house has walls and floors, but it's a bit boring. Now it's time for the fun part, the interior design. This is where CSS comes in to make our website actually look great.
CSS, or Cascading Style Sheets, is the language of design for the web. So while HTML handles the what, the actual content, CSS handles the how it looks. It controls absolutely every visual detail, from the color of the text in the background to the exact layout of everything on the page.
And this is the power of CSS. Check it out. We take those same HTML elements we just defined, and we can now change how they look. We can tell that H1 heading to be blue and bigger, or tell the P paragraph to use a totally different font. It's the exact same structure underneath, but now it has a layer of design on top. This separation of structure and style is one of the most important ideas on the web.
So our house looks good now, but it doesn't do anything yet. You can't flip a switch or turn on a faucet. To bring our static, pretty page to life, we need to add the third core technology of the web, JavaScript.
To put it simply, JavaScript is what makes websites interactive. It's a real programming language that runs inside your browser, and its job is to listen for your actions, like clicks, scrolls, and typing, and then respond by changing the page on the fly.
Just think about it for a second. When you click a like button and the counter instantly goes up without the whole page reloading, that's JavaScript. When you're filling out a form and it tells you your password is too weak right away, that's JavaScript too. Pop-up menus, smooth animations, loading new posts as you scroll down the page, that's all JavaScript. It's the engine of the modern web.
So far, everything we've talked about, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, it all runs on your device. That's the front end. But what about the stuff that happens behind the scenes? It's time to go down to the engine room and talk about the back end.
Let me ask you this. When you log into your favorite social media site, you type in your username and password, you hit enter, and poof, you're in. But where does that information actually go? How does the website know that it's really you? That magic doesn't happen in your browser.
Your login attempt travels over the internet to the backend, which usually has three core parts. First, there's a server, which is just a powerful computer that's always on, listening for requests. On that server runs the application. That's the code with all the brains, like how to check a password. And finally, there's the database, which is where all the user info is stored safely.
The absolute simplest way to think of a database is as the website's long-term memory. It's basically a massive, perfectly organized digital filing cabinet. Every single user account, every post you've ever made, every product in a store, every comment, it all lives in the database, just waiting to be pulled up when needed.
Okay, so let's trace the whole journey now. Step 1, you click a button. Step 2, JavaScript on the front end fires off a request to the back-end server. 3 and 4, the application on that server processes the request and then asks the database for whatever information it needs. Step 5, the server sends a neat little package with the results all the way back to the front end. And finally, Step 6, JavaScript grabs that new data and updates the page for you, usually without you ever seeing it reload. All of that happens in the blink of an eye.
And that's it. Really, that's the whole show. HTML for structure, CSS for style, JavaScript for interactivity, and then a powerful backend with a server, an application, and a database to manage all the data and the logic. These are the fundamental building blocks. Every single website you use, from the simplest little blog to a massive social network, is built on these exact same core ideas.
So what seems like total magic is really just this beautiful conversation happening between all these technologies. It's a story of requests and responses, of structure and style, of data and display. So really, the only question left is, what story will you build?